Hello, and welcome to another episode of Mad Scientist Brewing Beer Education Series. This week's video is going to focus on hops as an ingredient in brewing beer. Hops have been cultivated since at least 700 AD, and first began being used for brewing beer around 1000 AD. Unhopped ale in England was made with a mix of bitter herbs called gruit, and there was a change to hops that was resisted until the 1400s. But by the 1600s, hops had become the main bittering source used to make beer pretty much everywhere. Hops are grown for their cones, which only grow on female plants, and contain the hop resins that are desirable for use in beer. The three main components found in hops that are important for brewing are alpha acids, beta acids, and aromatic oils. Alpha acids are responsible for bitterness, but only after the hops have been boiled, where they are isomerized to become soluble and bitter. Beta acids provide some bitterness, but less than alpha acids, and do not isomerize. Aromatic oils provide considerable aroma to beer, but are also very volatile. Hops are generally grown between the 35th and 55th parallels in both the North and South Hemisphere, as these areas are moist, temperate, and have the right amount of daylight to trigger the growth of hop cones. In Europe, Germany and the Czech Republic are well known for growing hops, including the so-called noble hop varieties, which tend to be perfumey, peppery, and floral in aroma. The United Kingdom is also famous for its hops, particularly East Kent Golding and Fuggles hops, which are described as earthy, herbal, and woodsy. The United States grows a significant amount of hops in the Pacific Northwest, and these hops are characterized as citrusy, piney, resiny, dank, or like tropical fruit. Many U.S. hops also have a high percentage of alpha acids, which contributes to the U.S. styles having more bitter beer. Australia and New Zealand have also started exporting a large number of their hops, which have found place in hazy IPAs. These hops are described as having tropical fruit character like passion fruit and guava. After being harvested, hop cones need to be quickly dried and packaged so they don't lose their flavor and freshness. Hops are either packaged as whole cones or run through a processor to make pellets, which are easier to work with. Some beers use hops taken directly from the hop yards after the fall harvest, but these are rare due to the quick turnaround and limited window for harvesting. After being packaged, hops need to be stored cold, dry, and away from oxygen or light to prevent oxidation and degradation of the hop compounds. Hops can be categorized as bittering hops, aroma hops, or dual-use hops. Bittering hops tend to have a high alpha acid content by weight, somewhere from 10 to 20%. These hops are used primarily for adding bitterness to the beer, rather than flavor or aroma. Aroma hops are high in aromatic oils and resin, and tend to have lower alpha acids, and these are typically added later in the brewing process. Dual-use hops can be used either to bitter the beer or to add flavor and aroma, depending on when in the process they are added. In previous videos on the process of brewing, we've looked at how the addition of hops to beer at different stages in the process will affect the impact of hops on the beer. If hops are added at the beginning of the boil step, there is more time for the alpha acids to isomerize, and the beer in turn will become more bitter. At the same time, any volatile aromatic oils will be boiled off and have little effect. Hops added midway through the boil will contribute some bitterness, and some aromatic oils remain, which add flavor to the beer. Hops added at the end of the boil or in the whirlpool step will contribute little bitterness, but a lot of aroma from the oils. Dry hopping is adding aroma hops to the beer in the fermenter to get the most of the aromatic oils. Hops can be added at other steps, including the mash and lautering steps, but this is less common and only done with certain styles to maximize the flavor and aroma from the hops. There is much to be said about hops and hoppy beer styles that there isn't time for in this video, and thankfully there are a multitude of books with more detail than I can cover here. For the Love of Hops by Stan Hieronymus, The Hop List, compiled by Julian Healy, IPA by Mitch Steele, and The New IPA by Scott Janisch are all excellent references for understanding hops and their applications in popular beer styles like American IPA and Hazy IPA. With that, I will leave you to digest some thought about hops and hoppy beers that I hope you certainly enjoy more than I do. And until next time, cheers.